to Lock It Down Sports Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. So there's been media days going on. SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12. We're going to get into some of the things, the statements, or comments that stood out to me from media days all across college football. We got the Big 12 at it again. We got some Braves trades, and we're going to get into lying. That's right, you heard me. We're going to get into lying. We're going to cover that here later on in the podcast. But first, let me tell you about my friends at Stream Studio. It is a multi-camera live streaming platform that allows you to go live in less than 1 minute. It is a video podcasting live webinar streaming platform that allows you to stream to multiple platforms at the same time. Now, like I said, media days have happened and are currently happening. SEC's already happened, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, media days. Well, here's some interesting statements, takeaways from me from the SEC media days is where we're going to start. Josh Heupel, one of the first to go in the SEC media days, but there's always some comments that come out, and the one that really kind of made me laugh was this one. He said there's only one real UT and one shade of orange. I think you obviously know what he's talking about there. Just a little shade, a little diss at the University of Texas. And you know what? He's right. They've been in the SEC longer. They were, if you want to go back in history, Tennessee was a state before Texas was. So that's all that needs to be said. I mean, come on. You're coming to the SEC. There's only one real UT. Now, speaking of UT, no, the fake UTs, what I'm talking about, obviously in Texas. Sankey came out and said the conference is going to be less strict about players who give horns down when playing Texas, which I absolutely love. It's not like Texas is some big bad team that the conference is afraid to offend. Maybe in the Big 12, they were. In the SEC, you're just another program. You're just another Georgia, Florida, LSU, Alabama. You're just another school. You're not the school. You're another one. We don't have to stroke your ego. The SEC don't have to stroke your ego and say, look, we have to take care of you. You might leave. You know what? You came to us. Did the SEC want you? Yeah, they wanted you, but if you didn't come, no loss on there, and they're perfectly fine and happy without you. You decided to come. We're not going to stroke your ego. And it was always the dumbest rule and complaint that they had, just the simple horns down, and the Big 12 officials gave basically every other opponent a flag just for doing it. And it was crazy, dumb thing. And that's thankfully will be out of there because I could see touchdowns against Texas. Big time horns down, especially since they like to make it a thing. We'll see, but I don't think it'll be a non-issue, really. I don't think there'll be any egregious flags outside of your standard, if they want to call it, unsportsmanlike penalty. And that's the extent of it. And that could go for any excessive celebration or showing up an opponent or anything like that. So that I think that's good. Yes, he's come out and even said it, saying he's like, look, here's what we're going to do. And so what, Texas? Now, take this or leave it, what you want to do with this. Kind of odd to me that Jimbo Fisher was asked twice at SEC Media Days if Bobby Petrino was going to call plays. He didn't answer the question. Why? Are you afraid it's going to give away game planning? Is that really the extent? You're afraid he's going to give away his game plan? It's going to be all on film the first day. I mean, the first game. You're going to know if it's Petrino or if it's Jimbo. Jimbo's good at calling plays, no doubt. Offensive-minded coach, but you go and bring in Bobby Petrino, terrible human being. There's no doubt about that, but he can coach football. And the offensive side of the ball. No doubt about it. One of the best innovative minds in college football when it comes to the offensive end. Why not say? And I think that's it. Because he had to have made up his mind already. He knows what he's going to do. I don't buy it at all that he doesn't know what he's going to do when it comes to calling plays. If it's him, if it's Petrino, if it's both, yes, Jimbo's going to have a hand in it if Petrino calls plays. He's a strong offensive-minded coach as well. He's an offensive-minded coach. Quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator, obviously now head coach. Of course he's going to call plays. Be involved in play calling. And I feel like that's it. He's just trying to hide what we're going to see on tape game one. And that's really the only thing that I can figure out at this point. Now, Big Ten Media Days, this kind of startled me, and I'm sure surprised everybody in Ohio, the Columbus area, and Ann Arbor. Ryan Day said it might be time to start looking at moving when Ohio State and Michigan play. His reasoning? Because then it would set up back-to-back matchups of playing the end of the season and then potentially playing for the conference championship game. Yeah, that could happen. I'm going to turn this light here. Sorry about that. There we go. Those watching audio visually instead of audio wise. Yeah, and I got some weird, strange looks from a bunch of people saying, say what? What'd you say? Double takes, and I don't blame them. Tradition is changing so much, rivalries are disappearing, but when you can keep something like that, a tradition, a rivalry, fit in perfectly right there into your schedule, why change it? You could potentially play 3 times a year with the expanded playoffs. So, asinine. I couldn't even imagine Nick Saban coming out and saying, you know what? We might need to change the Auburn-Alabama game. Move it to a different time of year. Absolutely crazy talk. Now, on that end, yes, it's Auburn-Alabama, same side. So for the longest time, one of those teams didn't play in back-to-back weeks in the SEC championship game. Now, we'll see what happens when they expand to Oklahoma and Texas come in. Do they go away with divisions? Do they go with pods? Do they just do the top 2 teams in the SEC? You could run that situation as well, but I guarantee you, well, you can't make a guarantee now in sports. Very rarely, but I couldn't see Auburn, Alabama saying, you know what? Any coach coming out and saying it out loud, no, we should move this game to the middle of the season. It doesn't fit. Come on. Just don't overthink it and leave it where it's at. Speaking of staying where it's at, that's what Colorado did not and could not do moving back to the Big 12. I mean, to me, the biggest reason, and really the only reason, has to be stability. They're moving back to a stable conference, not knowing what's going to happen with the Pac-12. What TV deal are they going to get? Is it going to be profitable? Is it going to be worthwhile? Pac-12 did not lose a good member at all. They lost Denver and maybe some potential of Colorado with Deion Sanders coming in. What did they lose? I mean, what did they gain? Not, but from Colorado coming in the first place, not a whole lot. What did they lose? Nothing. I don't think they lost anything in the grand scheme of things. Colorado is Colorado. From a competitive standpoint, Big 12 loves it because it helps out their conference, gets them bigger. Sometimes you throw quantity instead of quality in Oklahoma and Texas leaving. So let's throw some numbers at it, see if we can get something to stick. And you've got a conference of 13. They're looking to add one more, whether it's the talk is Arizona is the hot one right now, or Arizona State, maybe Utah. Those are the big ones, the buzzing ones going all the way around right now. But from Colorado's standpoint, makes great sense with the way realignment is happening. They're going to get their full share when they start in 2022. They hope to be more competitive, and I think they will be in the Big 12. It's a very even, balanced conference. It's not top-heavy. It's a bunch of okay schools, and that's really what it's at. There's no dominant force that, all right, got to watch out for Oregon and Utah and Southern Cal. You don't have that, obviously. You've got a bunch of solid, okay football teams that think they can compete and be okay. Big 12, obviously, like I've said, they're gaining the Denver market and the state of Colorado from a revenue standpoint. That could hurt the Pac-12 when it comes to negotiations of losing that market. But we'll see. Big 10. Pac-12 doesn't even know what they're doing or where they're going with the TV deal. Now, media days, I was talking about earlier, thought this was very interesting, and I so wish they had at least 1 year of crossover, but they're not. And when Venables calls out Deion Sanders saying at least he gives his players 12 months to figure out if they're fit for his team or not, which is a very fair point. Deion doesn't really know. He thought he knew. He just went after free agency and the transfer portal. Yeah, it's normal to see kids leave and a change and a shuffle, but that many, not very common. Obviously, we'll see what happens with it, but just another fun little nugget there that I so wish they were playing in the future or had a year as. Man, this camera keeps screwing up. Sorry, guys. Hopefully I fixed it now. We'll see if it keeps going in and out. Nope, still's messing up. Sorry about that. So I wish I had a crossover, and that's going to be a fun. Maybe in a few years they can go at it. Now, before going any further, let me tell you my friends at Stream Studio. There is a multi-camera live streaming platform that allows you to go live in less than 1 minute. It's a video podcasting live webinar streaming platform that allows you to stream to multiple platforms at the same time. Now, I truly think the Braves are going to do something else. But for now, they made a minor trade and a waiver claim. Let's first start with the trade, and Pierce Johnson came from Colorado. You look at the numbers, you go, yikes. 6 ERA in Denver, or 6 ERA overall, ERA in the fours on the road. And that's really, to me, what the Braves are looking at. ERA in the fours that they think will play better at Truist and around the league as opposed to that 6 ERA. Fine trade. Gave up a pitching prospect, 2 pitching prospects, 1 starter. Probably really didn't fit in the grand scheme of plans for Atlanta. Another one, potential bullpen piece, was on the 40-man roster. They let go. They took him off the 40-man roster. Hard thrower, control issues. One of those, we'll see if he develops in Colorado. So, not a big deal as far as prospects they gave up for another bullpen piece, especially where they currently are right now, another arm, which is never a bad thing. Now, this is the one that was up. I think a lot of people were up in arms with when it came to Michael Soroka. Soroka being sent down when they claimed Yonny Chirinos off waivers from the Rays. 4 ERA in the fours before last night. Bloomed a little bit, obviously. He got hit around. But you look at Soroka's ERA. 6.35 ERA in 29 and a third innings. He still has a lot of things to work on. And when you look at his overall numbers as well, he's had 1. I wouldn't even say good start. I would say an okay start. We went 6 innings, he gave up 3 runs, and struck out 7. Okay. Does that to you take the name out of it? Warrant to be in the big leagues? Think about that. This last name wasn't Michael Soroka, and as a 20-year-old, if he didn't deal when he was in the big leagues as an all-star, he's a totally different pitcher right now. He might not ever get back to that. Those numbers right there weren't a starting spot if his name was Bryce Elder. You'd be on to fire Bryce Elder, DFA him, send him back down, keep him in the minors. Or, let's just say last year, Jake Ozorizia. Would you say send him down or DFA him if Jake had those numbers? Well, the Braves basically did in trading him to the Rangers for Colby Allen in the offseason. So should we trade Mike Soroka now, guys? I'm going to say no, we shouldn't trade him. Let's see if he can work some things out in the minors. Oh, yeah, by the way, in AAA last night, he got hit hard. He didn't pitch good. Is the upside there? Soroka over Chirinos? Yeah, there probably is some upside. Why can't he go in and dominate, pitch well in AAA? Huh? When he got caught up, he wasn't really ready. He didn't have eye-popping numbers in AAA. It was, you know what? He pitched good enough for us in AAA. You know what? Let's call up now. He pitched good enough. We've got a hole in our rotation. We need some help. Let's call him up. Do they have a better option? I think they're going to see in Chirinos, Yonny Chirinos, if he's a better option to be that 5th starter. Yes, you got Max Fried coming back soon. Obviously, he's on a rehab assignment, his 3rd rehab assignment. He was supposed to go last night on Friday night. He's supposed to go tonight because he was sick. I just think the Braves are wanting more than what Mike Soroka is giving them currently as their fifth starter to help save that bullpen in a tough time right now where I didn't even have to mention they're down Chavez, they're out Mentor, they're out Anderson, they're out Dylan Lee. Four guys, key guys, they're out. They can't have 5-inning, 3 1/3, 4 1/3 starts on a consistent basis, which is what they've been getting from Soroka. Yeah, they got 3 2/3 last night from Chirinos. But they know they're expecting now what they've seen and what they can come to expect from Soroka at this point. Does he get back to the big leagues this year? I think Soroka does, yeah. Maybe he should stay in AAA, see if he can get some things out, work some things out, and maybe the cliche example right now is Kyle Wright example. Stop jockeying him up and down the AAA Gwinnett shuttle. Keep him in AAA. Let him work through some things. We'll see. I really do hope that is the case, and that's what they need to do now. Saw this, and it made me perk up a little bit. Jim Harbaugh is going to be suspended 4 games for false allegations regarding lying to the NCAA about recruiting. First thing, met with recruits during the COVID dead period. Second thing he did, text with recruits outside of the allotted time period. Third thing, having analysts perform coaching duties during practice and had coaches watch it via Zoom. Minor recruiting violations, probably going to slap on the wrist, was a level 2 violation. All that level 2 violation, okay, ho hum, right? The problem with all this, why he got suspended 4 games, was the lying. If you lie to the NCAA, they make an example of you. Some more critical examples than others. Case in point. Let's go to Knoxville. Bruce Pearl. When he had junior recruits over at a barbecue, yeah, was that a recruiting violation? Of course it was. No, the problem was he lied to the NCAA. What did he get? A 3-year NCAA show clause and got fired at Tennessee. I fully believe he would still be in Knoxville coaching basketball if he didn't lie to the NCAA, without a doubt. He was loved in Knoxville. He's a good coach, and that's why Auburn went to sign him as their basketball coach after his 3-year show period was gone. Jim Harbaugh only got 4 games. He didn't get a season. Those 4 games, they're not good opponents. They're not good schools. Won't surprise me if he comes out of it 4-0. Michigan comes out of it 4-0 without Harbaugh on the field. Coaching the first 4 games. And then you want to talk about Tennessee's current situation that I've seen a bunch of moaning, groaning, complaining about. Tennessee was up front with the NCAA. You know what? Here's what Jeremy Pruitt did. You can look at every book that we have. You can dot every I, cross every T, look in deep down what we have. Here it is. And like I've said, Tennessee, they suffered the penalty, but the biggest one obviously is no postseason ban. They can still go to the college football playoffs if they're a good enough team. That's not eliminated. They just had to reduce some scholarships. And if I'm Michigan, I'd much rather have Jim Harbaugh be suspended those first 4 games where they don't play good teams, as opposed to be limited some scholarships. Now, from what I've seen, it's just those 4 games. There's no reduction in scholarships or anything along that nature, which to me that's big. And that's the important thing. You're not losing players. The coach is losing games against bad schools that there will more than likely be anyway. I call that a win. And also, once again, case in point, kids don't ever lie. You'll get found out. And the NCAA will punish you. And once again, the NCAA punished him more for the lying than they did for the minor recruiting violations and coaching violations that he did. Tell the truth, it always wins. It always wins. It's always a win to tell the truth in life and in football as well. Now, trading deadline's coming up, and I'm actually really happy the Angels have been aggressive and going and getting Lucas Galito, and they've formally come out and said, we are not trading the MVP Shohei Ohtani. And I'm not an Angels fan, but as an Angels fan, that's got to be a sigh of relief. Yes, you could completely restock your farm system, even if it is just a rental for Shohei Ohtani. And completely prepare yourself for the upcoming years to pair with Mike Trout. And then you could potentially re-sign Shohei Ohtani in the offseason after you traded him. But I think it would really potentially could have hurt the Angels' position if they traded Shohei to try to re-sign him next year. They're in a position to win a wild card spot. And it's for these Angels fans, I bet it's got to be so frustrating. You have one of the best players in the game in Mike Trout. And then you have probably the most exciting, maybe the other best player, one of the best players, once again, in Shohei Ohtani. How many playoff appearances have you had with both those two? 0. Mike Trout, one of the top 5 players in the game, has only made it to the playoffs once, or is it twice? Early on in his career, yes, some of his injuries, but to have those two go for it and just it warms my heart. Yes, I love teams to be all in, but sometimes, of course, you have to trade them to make it fit. It's really important to me that Shohei Ohtani stays with the Angels. They make a run, and they really do, I think, set themselves in a position to re-sign him because they didn't trade him. Now, it's trading deadline's coming up. There's only been some minor trades already. Nothing wow, nothing eye-popping. I don't think we'll see anything major just because so many teams are right there, still in the hunt, especially that additional wild card spot, which I hate. But I don't think there's going to be, I don't think there's going to be a big wow trade outside of Justin Verlander's been floated, mentioned around maybe. What does San Diego do? Do they trade a Soto? You got Hader. Options there, but I don't see a big firework explosive trade because there's so many teams that think they're in it and it's close to being in it. So it'll be fun to watch. I think the Braves are going to make a few more moves I don't know what, because AA is very sneaky and can surprise you, and he's done it a lot of every one of his moves. I think he's going to get something. He's going to go another arm. I guess he give him another bullpen piece, but we'll see. It's coming up, and it's always fun finding out the deals, especially 2 hours after the deadline. They're just coming in and just getting approved. So trading deadline coming up. It'll be fun to watch as we get into August and September, the dog days of August, making a push for that playoff spot. Ooh, that was tough. I don't know why, but no, it's not tough. To follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. Thanks for listening to Lock It Down Sports. Talk to you next week.